I've been experimenting with the new Kentmere 200 in 35mm. Let me show you what I've learned. The first 5 or 6 rolls of Kentmere 200 that I shot were 120, and I thought it would be useful to shoot some 35mm as well. In one of my cameras, I had like a half roll of HP5, and I thought, well, why don't I just compare HP5 to the Kentmere? But mostly I want to just talk about the Kentmere. I did do some comparisons, which I'll show you. I decided the best way to do this was to make it about testing the film, not about cameras, not about lenses. So I would say one of my sharpest lenses is a Leica 51.4, and I shot everything at f8. So I think this should be a good sharp lens at f8, so that kind of takes that out of the equation. I have 2 Leica bodies, so I had the HP5 in one and I had the Kentmere 200 in the other. So I went to the old shack, which is kind of near my house, that has a lot of, wood drawing, wood siding that has a lot of great detail. Shooting at f8 on a tripod. Shutter speed would be pretty high because it was not a dark area, and I'm on a tripod with a cable release. So I think I've eliminated any kind of weird things with lens differences or whatever. Now, if you compare the 200 to the 400, I did under-process both of them. I under-processed because I'm always trying to control the highlights, so I under-processed both of them slightly. When you compare these 2 shots, so as I said, f8 in the shade on a tripod with a cable release, and a sharp lens, that 200 is magnificent, really. Now, I don't really have problems with the HP5 either. I feel it's nice and sharp. On both of them, the grain is really tight. There's tons of detail. There's tons of shadow. There's fantastic contrast. Either one is fantastic, I think. But the advantage of the Kentmere 200, I think it's a price point. And if you can get a similar quality, and maybe a 200 is a little more versatile than a 400. 400, more speed, so you could open up more or go in a darker situation. But if everything you're shooting isn't in a dark situation, if you're at f8 or f11 anyways, I think maybe the 200 is a little more versatile. It's that sort of compromise of indoor-outdoor as compared to just being an indoor film or low-light film. So, if you can save a few dollars because the Kentmere is less expensive, maybe that's the way to go. These shots show that the Kentmere 200 is at least as good, in my view, on these subjects as the HP5. Now, the first shots I did were in the shade. So this second situation is full sun. So this first shot is the HP5, and then if you compare it to the Kentmere 200, again, it holds up, and there's no reason not to use it. It's fantastic. Now, the one thing I did was I did a straight print, and then I thought, I wonder how good of a print I could actually make, within 1 or 2 pieces of paper. So I did a print burning in the edges a little bit, which is maybe it's because my enlarger has fall off. My enlarger lenses maybe has fall off. I don't know. Anyways, these are printed on a Leica enlarger V35, so it's, it holds the negative pretty flat because it's got a glass carrier. Anyways, again, very sharp. Thought the Kentmere was fantastic. I burned it in a little bit on the corners. I thought it was a pretty reasonable print. I mean, if you're into kind of weird shingles on old boards, this is pretty good. So this was the second scenario. This is in full sun. Contrast is great. It's in control and lots of detail, lots of sharpness. Fantastic. I just want to talk about the darkroom part for a second. These were printed. I have a Leica V35 enlarger, which was Leica's state-of-the-art enlarger when it came out. It was their final version of the V35. I use a glass carrier, so the negs are held pretty flat. The lens is like a 40mm lens. I'm stopped down a few stops, so there's no issue there. And I'm kind of at grade 3, which you have to dial in on this color head. Now, the paper developer is Ilford Bromovan, and then Stop Bath and Ilford Fix, and the paper is the latest version of Ilford multigrade resin coated. So again, this is just testing, this is just playing, so I'm happy to do it on a resin coated paper. There's no use bringing out the expensive stuff if you're just running a few tests. So that kind of sums up the darkroom part of this. Leica V35 with the Leica lens and Ilford multigrade paper. So this is where the test gets a little bit dicey. These next couple of shots are in full sun, but for some reason I only shot them with one of the films. So I did want to show it though, because this is kind of what the scenario looks like. This is with the HP5, and my exposure really hasn't changed, but I just found it was a little bit light, so I printed it a little bit darker, and then I thought, well, maybe it needs a little bit of a burn in the corners, so I burned in the corner. So this is with the HP5 in, full sun on this kind of scaly old building. Now this shot is with the Kentmere 200. Again, it's the very same light. It's not the same photo. I don't know how I screwed this up, but it's not the same photo, but it's the same light and the same scenario. And I really just want to talk about the detail. The detail is so fantastic. The detail in the shadows, the detail in the highlights, it's just it's fantastic. So unfortunately, they're not head-to-head the same shot, but it is head-to-head the same scenario. So I made a straight print, and then I thought I could make a better print. So I'm saying that this is sort of like my final kind of quality of a print. It's got a bit of a burn and dodge, but magnificent detail, lots of texture because the situation is textured, lots of sharpness, lots of contrast. I think you could make a really great print. I only made 8x10s, but I think you could really, go to town on this and make a really nice enlargement. So my final shot, I don't have a comparison. It's just the Kentmere, but fantastic detail. Like you could blow this up. You can look at these little wooden shingles and there's a lot of information there. So fantastic film, controlling the highlights through your development time, controlling the shadows through your exposure index or your ISO. I'm using it at 125, but controlling the shadows, controlling the highlights, making a full tonal print. This Kentmere 200, no reason not to use it. If you haven't bought a roll or tried a roll, why not try it? If you're shooting a lot of black and white, and I bought 10 rolls of 24 because I wanted to shoot it and see it and shoot it and see it. It's great. Buy a few rolls, shoot it, whatever your situation, whatever it is that you like to shoot, whether it's landscape or street photography. I don't know, maybe you can get by with some 200 ISO and, save a few dollars. A fantastic new product. And you know what? Again, the other thing that's great about it is it's a new product. This is great technology from Kentmere, which is Ilford, great technology, and they need to be kind of saluted or appreciated for the fact that they're bringing out a new film. Not everyone is expanding their film repertoire, but Kentmere 200, I love it.